Some of you watching this are Xbox people. Some of you are PlayStation people. Some of you are both. Some of you are PC people. But now with the new consoles finally in our hands, I thought it would be fun to take a trip down memory lane and see exactly what the best games were for each system. Welcome to Chaos Gaming. Today, we're going to be checking out the 25 highest rated games ever released for the Xbox consoles. Not one particular console, all of the consoles. It doesn't matter if it was an exclusive or not. All gloves are off here. All that matters is that it was released on an Xbox console. If you want to take the time and rank your top 25 Xbox games, go for it. Guys, make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you're following the page. You've got all those notifications on. 500 likes, and we release the 25 best PlayStation games of all time. Here we go. This month's giveaway is for your choice of a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. All you have to do to enter is drop a like, make sure you're subscribed, and leave a comment with your Twitter handle so we can get hold of you telling me which one you want. The winner is picked at the end of the month. Good luck. Kicking things off is Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow OG Xbox. Does anybody remember when Splinter Cell was good? I do. He used to be the poster boy for stealth games, and Pandora Tomorrow is one of the best genre it's ever given us. Launched in 2004 for the Xbox and the PC, it quickly established itself as the gold standard for stealth games. Sitting with a 93 score on Meta, Pandora Tomorrow is the 25th best rated Xbox game of all time. We're starting off strong. At number 24, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic OG Xbox. Does anybody remember when Star Wars RPGs were good? Knights of the Old Republic was developed by none other than BioWare. It was an amazing and personal story that was, I don't think it's been matched by any other Star Wars game to this date. The campaign covered events taking place long before any of the films, and it really dove into the history and the lore of the universe as well as the history of the Force. Knights of the Old Republic is still considered to be one of BioWare's finest creations, and it doesn't shock me, it's one of the best rated Xbox games ever. Coming in at number 23, Modern Warfare 2 Xbox 360. Now, Modern Warfare 2 launched all the way back in 2009, and it took the formula of COD 4 and it ramped it up. More kill streaks, explosive gameplay, super melty guns, crazy campaign, and an awesome Spec Ops experience that people still talk about to this day. Modern Warfare 2 is one of the highest rated COD games of all time, and the 360 version is sitting with a 94 on Meta, which gives it the 23rd spot today. At number 22, Burnout 3 Takedown OG Xbox. Does anybody remember Burnout? It was a racing series that made a name for itself by encouraging as much destruction as possible in the process. It launched 16 years ago, and many consider it to be the best in the entire series, although Burnout Paradise sometimes gives it a run for its money. It's got a 94 Metascore, number 22 all time. At number 21, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, OG Xbox. Now, the first two Splinter Cell games were incredible, and yet Ubisoft still managed to outdo them with Chaos Theory. Released in 2005, Theory was the first game in the series to get an M rating. It allowed the developers to get even more gritty with the combat and the story. The level design was some of the best ever put in a stealth game, has a 94 on Meta, and it landed at the number 21 spot today. At number 20, Ninja Gaiden Black OG Xbox. The 2004 Ninja Gaiden was one of the best hack and slash titles ever released, mark my words, and then the developers decided to re-release it on the Xbox with all the DLC. People loved it. Ninja Gaiden Black launched in 2005. It was by far the best way to play the game. It let you experience the story in its entirety with an extremely deep and frustrating combat system. With a 94 on Meta, it's 20th best rated Xbox game ever. At number 19 today, Halo 3 Xbox 360. One of the biggest video game launches ever. It launched for the 360 in 2007 and absolutely took the world over in the process. Not only did it conclude the Master Chief trilogy, but it also came equipped with a massive multiplayer mode, a brand new Forge mode, an extensive custom game editor, and all the tools you needed to lose hundreds of hours of your life. Halo 3 has a very impressive 94 score on Meta, which lands it at the number 19 spot today. Next up is Call of Duty 4 Xbox 360, the game that completely changed multiplayer shooters forever and had an awesome campaign to boot. Released in 2007, COD 4 brought the World War II franchise into the modern setting, complete with a great story, retooled gameplay, and an addicting multiplayer that introduced game-changing things. Kill streaks, perks, the attachment system, and now every shooter has them. COD 4 is currently sitting with a 94 on Meta, which makes it the 18th best rated game ever released on an Xbox console. Next up is Oblivion Xbox 360. To this day, people debate whether or not Oblivion was better than Skyrim. Sure, Skyrim was far more popular, it had more stuff to do, but Oblivion arguably had a more detailed story and world, so it's kind of a matter of preference. You can let me know your preference in the comment section, but regardless, Oblivion is a fantastic fantasy RPG and one of Bethesda's best. It doesn't shock me at all that this one is one of the best rated Xbox games of all time at number 17. At number 16, Gears of War Xbox 360, the Microsoft IP that nobody saw coming. Gears launched in 2006. It redefined the entire third-person shooter genre as we all know it. It introduced us to modern cover-based shooting. It had a solid story with a fascinating world, and when it was released, it was the most popular multiplayer ever hosted on Xbox Live. Gears would go on to be one of Microsoft's biggest IPs, but the original is still the best rated in the entire series, sitting at number 16 on today's list. Now we've reached the top 15, Batman Arkham City Xbox 360. Arguably the best comic book game ever made. Arkham City was released in 2011, and it took the already excellent foundation of Arkham Asylum, but it made it a bit more of an open world. Arkham City was full of random encounters, side missions, great characters, boss fights, and seemingly endless challenges to complete thanks to the freaking Riddler. The 360 version of Arkham is currently sitting with a 94 on Meta, which makes it the number 15th best game of all time. At number 14 is Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, Xbox One. Now, many people were divided on the direction of Metal Gear Solid 5. The quality of the gameplay and the storytelling, though, cannot be debated. The game is extremely high quality in terms of visuals, gameplay, and player choice. It gives you tons of options for every encounter and truly lets you play the game you want to. Now, it's a little bittersweet that this was the final true MGS game, but I think it's deserving of a place on today's list. Rest in peace, Metal Gear Solid. At number 13, Portal 2, Xbox 360. Now, the first Portal game came out of nowhere, and ended up being one of Valve's finest creations. Expectations were high for the sequel, and if you ask me, they more than met them. Portal 2 was a much longer and far deeper game than the first one, complete with the same style of humor and storytelling. It ended up with a 95 on Meta on the Xbox 360, giving it the 13th spot on today's list. At number 12, Xbox games all time, Red Dead Redemption, Xbox 360. Now, when Red Dead came out, a lot of people thought it was just going to be GTA in the Wild West, but it ended up being so much more. It ended up arguably being one of Rockstar's best stories, and while the gameplay was a little slower and less explosive than GTA, the world was stunning. You could lose yourself in it just as easily as a GTA game, arguably even more so. Red Dead Redemption is still one of Rockstar's finest creations 10 years later, and with a 95 out of 100 on Meta, it takes the number 12 spot. At number 11, Halo 2 OG Xbox, the game that forever changed console multiplayer. It launched in 2004 for the original Xbox and pretty much had everything you want from an FPS. Great campaign, engaging multiplayer, tons of content, plenty of customability, and a crap ton of stuff to do for both serious players and casuals. Now, Halo 2 was a massive success, and it helped put Xbox Live on the map in a huge way. It made Microsoft the trendsetter for console multiplayer games. It has a 95 on Meta, which is the second best in the series. Can you guys guess which one was number 1? And now we've reached the top 10. We have some heavy hitters here. Grand Theft Auto Double Pack OG Xbox. Now, many of the original GTA games were exclusive to the PlayStation, so Xbox players did not get to experience their greatness. However, that changed in late 2003 when Rockstar released the GTA Double Pack, which was an Xbox port of both GTA 3 and Vice City. So as you'd expect, Xbox players flocked to it, and you were getting a ton of content for your money. It has a 96 on Meta right now. I mean, the GTA Double Pack cracks the top 10 on today's list, and it's not even close to the last Rockstar game we're going to talk about today. At number 9, Skyrim Xbox 360. How long until we get a Series X version of Skyrim? You know it's happening. It initially launched in 2011 and has since become a bit of a meme due to how many times it's been ported to other consoles. But when you look at how good this game is and how much people adore it, you can't really blame Bethesda for putting it out everywhere. The world, the story, the characters, the progression, the replay value, it's all perfect. The 360 version of Skyrim has a 96 meta score, and as much as I like to argue with game critics, I can't fight this one. At number 8 today, Mass Effect 2 Xbox 360. Now, when you ask a Mass Effect fan what the best game in the series is, you usually get a split between 1 and 2. Now, Mass Effect 1 is widely considered to have the best story, but Mass Effect 2 has greatly improved the gameplay. According to the critics, the sequel was the overall better game, thanks to its improvements in the gameplay department, as well as the fact that it still had a fantastic story that carried on the first one's themes and progression. The 360 version of Mass Effect 2 is currently the 8th best reviewed game ever released on an Xbox, and I already know that's going to start a war in the comments, but don't shoot the messenger. At number 7, the Orange Box Xbox 360. One of the most generous releases in gaming history, if you look at it. Released in 2007, the Orange Box was a collection of 5 games, those being Portal, Team Fortress 2, and all 3 episodes of Half-Life 2. You were getting so much bang for your buck, and every single game included was a 10 out of 10. The Orange Box ended up getting a 96 meta score, one of the best the Xbox 360 has ever seen, and I understand why. At number 6, BIOSHOCK Xbox 360. This game shook the gaming world. It did. The spiritual successor to System Shock 2, it was an FPS with an incredibly well-written story and a decent amount of horror and RPG elements to be thrown in for the player to be more engaged. The themes in the world of BioShock, they were gripping. The atmosphere was some of the best ever captured in a video game to this day. BioShock has a 96 out of 100 on meta for the Xbox 360 version, which plops it at number 6 today. Okay, everybody, sit back. Top 5. Here we go. Halo Combat Evolved, OG Xbox. Here it is. Halo completely changed the gaming world as we know it, and in terms of influential Xbox games, it's probably number 1. It launched in 2001, 19 years ago, to critical acclaim for everything. The story, the gameplay, the world customization, you name it, local multiplayer, all of it. Now, the original didn't have Xbox Live support, but you didn't need it. It had so much content on the disc. Plus, it opened the door for countless LAN parties. Combat Evolved has a 97 score on meta, which earns it today at number 5. At number 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, Xbox 360. One of the biggest games of all time. It launched in 2013 and quickly found itself in the home of every gamer who could get it. Excellent story, super addicting open world, the abundance of content, and then extensive multiplayer. That's a recipe for success. I mean, you got a lot of content for $60, and to this day, GTA Online remains one of the most popular multiplayer games in the world on every single platform. The 360 version of GTA 5 has a 97 on meta, which gives it the number 4 spot today. At number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, Xbox One. Now, as if the 360 version of the game wasn't enough, the enhanced Xbox version for the One came out a year later and it blew everybody away again. I don't think I really need to explain this. You know why GTA 5 is so great, and let's just move on to number 2. At number 2, Red Dead Redemption 2 Xbox One. Is the top 5 starting to feel like a top 5 Rockstar list? Well, this was one of the most anticipated games of the decade. It was long awaited. It was the follow-up to Rockstar's Wild West epic and their first game since GTA 5. It served as a prequel to the first game, which was a little confusing as far as the titles go, but it managed to greatly increase the size of the world. It made the gameplay infinitely deeper. It was by far the biggest game of 2018, and the Xbox One version has a 97 on meta, making it the second best reviewed Xbox game of all time. And at number 1, yes, this is the top 5 of Rockstar. Grand Theft Auto 4, Xbox 360. This is it. Probably not what you were expecting, but this is it. Released back in 2008, GTA 4 took the established GTA formula and brought it into the modern era. Now, some people criticized it for taking a little bit of a wacky approach, but others praised it for its gigantic world and fantastic story. As of the recording of this video today, the Xbox 360 version of GTA 4 is sitting with a 98 score on Metacritic, making it the highest rated game to ever be released on a Microsoft console. And there you have it, my friends. If you want to see the top 25 highest rated PlayStation games, let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know which of these games changed your life, and I'll see you soon.